Hello and welcome back to Hold My Drink, a sobriety podcast. If you can't hear it in my voice, I am sick with a cold. Woe is me. No, but I just wanted to warn you in case I sound a little funky. And also, me being sick has kind of inspired this episode because yesterday I was, I had congestion in my nose, my head is pounding, my bones are a little achy, and I'm exhausted. And I kind of felt myself craving a drink. My cravings now, this deep into my sobriety, are not actual cravings that I'm not actually tempted to drink. It's not something I'm considering. It's a no, of course, but it reminded me that the old me, the drinking me, would have drank in that situation. And so when I mention like cravings or triggers, that's what I'm referring to is like, oh, I recognize that I would have drank in this situation in the past, but obviously not anymore. So I was sitting around being sick yesterday and I thought to myself, wow, I would have had a drink definitely in this situation. And I was like, why? Because when you're sick, you're supposed to take care of yourself and drink a lot of fluids, not beer, but like water and vitamin C. And you're supposed to, relax, hydrate, fuel your body, take it easy, and just heal yourself. And so I was like, why am I craving a drink when I'm sick? That's so weird. But of course, you have to know that I used to be somebody who would drink if I was sick, if I was physically in pain, if I was on medication, you name it. None of that stopped me from drinking. So it just got me thinking about why I was craving a drink during this cold. This is my first time really being sick since I've gotten sober. I did have the flu in January, but that's a whole other story. I swear you can hardly even open your eyes when you have like the real true flu. That was crazy. Side note, that was crazy. I had never had the real flu. I thought I had, but that was the real flu. And it is the worst experience ever. Oh my God. And I didn't feel super tempted to drink during that one because I literally couldn't even put anything in my body. Like I was so ill and I couldn't even like fathom getting up to get a drink or something. Like everything hurt. It was horrible, but that's a separate story. So this is just a minor little cold that I have, no big deal. And I felt myself craving a drink. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about why I was craving a drink and why triggers and urges are actually good to experience in sobriety because you learn from them. So we're going to dive into all of that and more in today's episode. So let's get right into it. Welcome to Hold My Drink, a sobriety podcast. This is a no judgment zone. I really freaking like my life without alcohol. You're not alone. I hope you feel seen. Sobriety has changed my life completely. I'm like out of breath even from just filming that intro. Because I'm like only breathing out of my mouth. Okay, who cares? Everyone gets colds. Moving right along. Okay, so yesterday I got the trigger, or I noticed that being sick, having a cold is a trigger for me to drink. I've talked about a lot of my other triggers in previous episodes, how I get triggered when I'm alone, how I get triggered when I'm at the airport. But being sick and having a cold is definitely a new one. So I took that opportunity to just take a step back and try to analyze why I was feeling that way. It's pretty interesting when you have triggers or urges to take a step back and just think about why. It's actually super interesting. For some, it's more obvious, like at the airport, people drink because of flight anxiety, like it calms your nerves. You're also alone. There's no judgment at the airport because everyone's drinking, everyone's on different time zones. So it doesn't matter if you're drinking alone at the bar at 7 a.m. I kind of realized why I like to drink at the airport, and that one was pretty easy. But the sick one, I was like, why am I thinking about alcohol when I'm sick? And what I deduced was that I am in, a little bit of pain. I wouldn't actually call it pain, but you know what I mean? Discomfort, like your nose just being so congested, the head kind of pounding and feeling like it's going to explode, your joints just feeling a little bit achy, and all those things like physical pain kind of triggers me to drink. I had a major knee surgery I tore my ACL about almost 2 years ago now, and I had the surgery. And when I was recovering from the surgery is when I was the deepest in my alcohol problem that I have ever been. And that's a whole other story. I still need to make an episode on this, but basically I was unable to walk. I was unable to do anything, and I was just like so depressed. I couldn't move my body. I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. And so I just said, frick it, like I'm just going to drink literally all day long. And then on top of that, it kind of helped with the pain. Like it's not a very easy breezy recovery, the ACL tear, let me tell you. It's a pretty rough one. So I drank to get through the pain. I drank to get through like the mental side of it. I drank to get past the boredom. I drank so much during that process. But anyways, the reason I'm relating this to the cold is because I was trying to just deduce why I was craving a drink while I have a cold. And so at first I think, okay, I'm in a little bit of pain and discomfort, and similar to the ACL where I was in a lot of pain and discomfort. Okay, this is a very, very, subdued version of what I was feeling with the ACL. Extremely subdued. But I am in a little bit of discomfort. Okay, so that directly makes me crave a drink to numb the pain, numb the discomfort, and just feel kind of at ease and relaxed. And it takes you out of your pain. So I recognized that was a reason I was craving a drink. And then I also realized that I was just exhausted. Like a cold just really takes it out of you, and you don't have a lot of energy, as we all know. So I'm sitting there at 5 p.m. feeling like I could go to sleep. And I'm recognizing that I'm craving a drink, or I'm thinking that, the old me would have drank right now for sure. And I think it's because also I'm exhausted. And I've talked about the HALT method before in a previous episode, so go check that out if you haven't listened to it already. But it is a recovery method. It stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And you basically want to avoid being any of those four things when you're recovering from a substance. So T, tired. When you have a cold, you are exhausted and tired. And so I recognize that's another reason why I'm craving a drink. So very long story short, the reason that I am craving alcohol during this little bit of sickness is that I'm in pain and discomfort. I don't like saying pain, okay? Because I'm not actually in pain, but that's just the category of what it is, discomfort, not feeling physically 100% yourself, okay? I am sensitive with that word because I know what real pain is, and this is not it. But anyways, general discomfort and exhaustion. Those two things are why I was craving alcohol during a cold. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So now I know that when I have a cold, I might feel a little bit triggered to drink. And that, my friends, is a superpower. That is why I say that feeling triggered, feeling urges is actually a blessing, because it gives you a second to process why you're having that craving, and then develop strategies for how you can deal with that in the future. So I didn't actually realize that being sick or having a cold was going to trigger me to drink. I did not think that would happen. I hadn't put that together before, but now I know, every cold that I get in the future for years to come, I'll know ahead of time I might feel a little bit triggered to drink. And then I can start developing strategies to redirect and manage that craving. So let's go back to the airport example, because that one I've experienced a lot. So the first time I went to the airport, I felt this rush of I need a drink, or my body was just on autopilot. I got to the airport and it's like I was already heading to the airport bar to sit down and have a drink. And it literally didn't matter at all if it was 7 a.m. or 5 p.m. or the middle of the night or whatever. My body's on autopilot. Okay, I have 30 minutes to spare. I'm going to the bar. Always. Even if I am rushing to my flight, I will go to the bar and take a shot before I get on that plane. It was just like my religion. It was my routine. It's what I did. And I'm not even that scared of flying. I really am not. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I've thought about being a flight attendant. It's something I've considered because I love travel and I fly a lot and I'm comfortable with it. So it's not like I was drinking away my nerves. I will say though, maybe I was drinking away a little bit of like social anxiety, having to sit by strangers, talk to people, engage with people, asking people, excuse me, could you get up for a second? I'm headed to the window seat. All that is nerve wracking for me, having to like engage with other people, which is a whole other story. But whatever reasons I was drinking for, I would just always get a drink at the airport and usually on the flight, but definitely at the airport. And I also just loved the fact that no one would judge me because everyone's on different time zones. There's no judgment. At whatever hour you're drinking and sitting alone at the bar, nobody is going to judge you. If you're a young gal sitting alone at the bar, typically just out in the world, outside the airport, people might be like, why are you sitting alone drinking 3 beers and a shot? Like, what's going on? But at the airport, nobody judges you. Nobody cares. And I loved that and I embraced that. And I kind of used that as my excuse to drink alone and in a manner that I was comfortable out in public at the airport because it was like accepted. My weird drinking habits, my really unhealthy drinking habits, problematic drinking was accepted at the airport. And I loved that. So I seized every opportunity to get to be my full self out in the open. And the airport was a great place to do that. So anyways, that first time that I arrived at the airport, I felt the rush of, I'm on autopilot to the bar. I'm craving a drink right now. And I said, whoa, why am I feeling that way? I had a moment to think and I went over all those things that I just mentioned about why I might be feeling that way. I recognized, okay, I drink for this reason. I drink for this reason. This is why I'm feeling like it. And then the important thing is to redirect and find skills to manage your cravings. So now that I know the airport is triggering for me, I can find new tactics. And that first day that I felt the rush of I need a drink, I found a new tactic and I have used it literally every time that I've gone to the airport since then. And it's not anything earth shattering, okay? But I said, okay, I would have spent probably $50, between $25 and $50 sitting at the bar drinking before this flight. So let me go take that $25 and go to the Hudson News and buy whatever I would like for the flight. I allowed myself to get 1 sweet treat, 1 salty snack, 1 soda of some sort, a big jug of water, and I just kind of let myself freaking ball out at the Hudson News, the little snack store and where they sell magazines and sweatshirts and little souvenirs and all the goodies. So I kind of allow myself to go off in there because I would have gone off at the bar. And it's not like I'm doing an exact monetary comparison, like $25 at the bar means I spend $25 at Hudson News. But it depends on the length of the flight. It depends what mood I'm in. I just allow myself to treat myself instead of going to the bar. So I usually get like my favorite combination is I get some Twizzlers nibs. I know Twizzlers are not very popular amongst the general public. But anyways, Twizzlers nibs. I get I forget what they're called, but the big brown circles that are in Chex Mix. I think they're like dried rye bread or something, rye bread chips. But anyways, you can get a whole bag of just those. Twizzlers nibs, a whole bag of those crispy, salty, delicious snacks to go with my sweet Twizzlers nibs. And then I'll get a Diet Dr. Pepper, delicious, my favorite of the diet sodas, unless there's Diet Root Beer, but there pretty much never is. That's my real favorite. And then I get the biggest water they have because a new fear that's been unlocked in sobriety is the fear that I won't be able to get water. And on top of that, the fear that I won't be able to use the bathroom. So that's why, I don't know how this has arisen in my sobriety, but I bring my water bottle everywhere. I get a huge water on the flight because, they only pass around a little cup here and there. So it freaks me out if I'm not able to drink the amount of water that I want to be drinking. It's kind of like the fear that I had around not being able to get alcohol, but now it's around not being able to get water. Oh my God, did I just realize that? That's kind of crazy. That's a new revelation for me. Because I used to freak out about what if I won't be able to get alcohol. That's why I snuck in alcohol a lot of places, or hid alcohol, or pre-gamed beforehand, because I would be really scared that I wasn't at my certain buzz in situations and wouldn't be able to get more if I needed more. And now it's like, what if I'm not able to get water? And in most every situation, you can find water, right? Except for on the airplane. So, wow, interesting little discovery I just had about myself. But I get a huge jug of water so that I will have plenty of water on the flight. And I usually get an aisle seat, which I did during my drinking days too, so that I could drink a million Coors Lights before the flight and be able to use the bathroom right when we take off without like embarrassing myself. Excuse me, can I please get up to use the bathroom? They're like, we just took off. That was embarrassing. So I just started getting aisle seats, and I still get aisle seats so that I can drink as much water as I want, stay as hydrated as I want, and get up to use the bathroom as many times as I want. So how the heck did I get on this topic? Let me think back. Oh yes, so I was just telling you all the things that I allow myself to get at the Hudson News. And it's just whatever I'm feeling. If I feel like getting gum or getting like a fun sandwich or whatever, I'll get that stuff. But I get a little grocery bag from that Hudson News place and just fill it up with everything I might want for the flight. And I just allow myself to have those things. I also usually pre-order a Starbucks. Did you know that you can mobile order Starbucks at the airport? I'm revealing my biggest secret to the world. But yeah, you don't have to wait in that huge line at the airport. At almost every airport, you can mobile order your Starbucks like while you're in the security line so that when you get through, it's sitting there waiting for you. It's kind of a crazy life hack. But anyway, I just allow myself to go all out. And that tactic has worked for me. I went through a period of time recently where I was traveling a ton. Like I was away more than I was at home. And I use this trick just every time that I went to the airport, and it works for me. In fact, now I kind of get excited for what I'm going to get at the Hudson News. And I know I could pack my own snacks or whatever. But no, I enjoy walking around and seeing what I'm in the mood for. And I have like my new airport routine that I love. Instead of barely getting there in time for my flight, downing a beer and a shot, running to my gate and getting on and waiting till we're high enough in the air so that I can sprint to the bathroom on the flight. That used to be my flight experience. Now I have TSA pre-check. I also use Seat Saver, which the Seattle airport has, which is where you can like reserve a time that you're going to be there and literally wait in no security line, which is crazy, and it's free. Whack. It's so awesome. But anyways, I have TSA pre-check. I get there way early. Like I check my bags. I leave enough time to go get my little snacks, and I get a good boarding group because I have the credit cards and whatever else. Like my airport experience is so different, and I actually way prefer it now to how I used to do it. And I'll download my Netflix shows like days before so that they're ready to go on my flight. Like overall, just such a better person in sobriety, but even my airport experience and how I treat travel is just so much better in sobriety. And I think, I'm grateful for that. And I think all the people around me and who I travel with are probably grateful for that too. And I'm sorry for everyone in my past that I have literally given a heart attack to by barely cutting it every single time that I travel, always, because I'm usually at home drinking till the very last minute. So crazy to look back. But the whole point of this video today is to say that recognizing triggers and experiencing those triggers in the first place is actually really powerful and a positive thing in your sober journey. So when you experience those triggers and urges, just take a moment and try to realize why you're feeling that way, and then try to develop a strategy so that every future time that you experience that trigger, you have a good strategy going for yourself. And triggers could be a situation, a place, a person maybe that triggers you. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to name any names, obviously. I don't know who listens to this podcast, but there's one person that I have to engage with sometimes who is a little bit boring. And sometimes I find myself craving a drink, or another person in my life who is a little bit annoying and hard to be around. And it makes me crave a drink to literally get through that experience. I know that sounds horrible, but like we all have those people in our lives, right? Like work colleagues or friends or neighbors or whatever. We have people in our life that we just kind of like have to deal with. And sometimes you think, wow, I wish I could drink through this one. So just recognize the people, places, and situations that make you crave a drink, and then try to develop good strategies to manage those triggers and cravings. And You will find so much ease in your sobriety. You will crush it, and you will be able to be successful in your sobriety. And every time you experience a new trigger, you're like ticking one off the list. Eventually, you're not going to have any new triggers, right? I mean, maybe you will. I don't know. But you will have experienced so many triggering situations and developed those strategies where there's not a whole lot that can surprise you. You're not going to be thrown off and like have this crazy craving because you've already developed the strategies for so many different situations in life. Early in my sobriety, another trigger was house parties. I've talked about this a lot, but I hate house parties, period. I feel like the whole point of house parties is to drink. That is the event. That is the theme. That is what is happening. There isn't any entertainment or like any reason for you to be there other than to get drunk and stand around. There's really no other point to you being there other than just to stand around and drink. So I've always kind of hated house parties in my sobriety. But at that first party, I came empty-handed, like assuming that there would be some sort of non-alcoholic drink, like even just water at this party, and there wasn't. And so I was standing around awkwardly with no drink in my hand, and I was like, well, I have learned from this situation, okay? I will never, ever, ever again show up to a house party without like a 12-pack of sodas. And let me tell you right now, usually someone will dig into those too. There's going to be like another sober person there or someone who wants to mix it with their drink. So bring extras because people will get into your stash. But I bring drinks to every party I go to pretty much because you would be shocked how many like house parties, not actual events or like, formal bars and things like that. But you'd be shocked how many house parties just hosted by your friends or family or whatever do not provide non-alcoholic drinks. So you need to provide your own. And I learned that after that first house party. So now every time I go to a house party, I don't feel triggered because I have plenty of drinks for myself. I came prepared. Sometimes I bring multiple options. I brought plenty, like the quantity of drinks I brought is high. And now I know how to deal with house parties, and they're not as much of an issue anymore. I don't really like them, so I don't do them anyway. But if I, every now and then find myself at a house party, I know how to deal with that now. So I see triggers and urges as a blessing, and you can really learn from them and just kind of develop your portfolio as a sober person and what you're able to handle and what triggers you. It's a superpower to know what triggers you to drink and then know how to manage those and address those situations. So I hope you found some benefit in today's episode and can learn a thing or two in your daily life about what triggers you and how to manage those cravings. You got this. You're doing amazing, sweetie. That's a Kardashians quote, by the way, if you don't live chronically online like I do on TikTok. But anyway, you're doing amazing. I'm so proud of you. If nobody told you today, I am so proud of you. Every time you listen to one of these podcasts, you are growing as a person. You are improving your life in sobriety, and you are making a good decision for yourself. So well done. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.